Alright, so I absolutely love being out in nature, and when I'm preparing for a trip, one of the most important parts of that preparation is navigation. Now, I'm gonna be honest, navigation has always been one of my stronger skills, but even then I never head into the outdoors without some kind of navigation app as a backup plan. Because when the weather conditions change, or when visibility drops, or the trail just isn't what you expected it to be, having a reliable navigation app can make all the difference in the world. Over the past few years, I've used a wide range of hiking and navigation apps in all kinds of environments and situations. So today I want to compare the most popular ones and figure out which ones actually make sense for different type of hikers, instead of just naming the single best app. So if you stick around until the end of the video, I will show you exactly which app works best for each type of situation. Also, just for the record, I'm not affiliated with any of these companies, so these are just my honest opinions. So let's start off with the most popular app, which is Alltrails. You know, this app is used by hikers and bikers and trail runners all around the world. And it combines this massive database of over 450,000 curated trails globally. The app also has a really strong emphasis on community, so with every trail there are a lot of comments and condition updates from other hikers, which honestly makes planning trips easier and more fun than ever before. When filtering for trails, you can choose between things like difficulty, distance, elevation, accessibility, and even features like dog-friendly or kid-friendly paths. I have to say that one of the biggest pros of this app is just the general user friendliness. Out of all the apps I'm gonna be comparing, this app is definitely the most easy and straightforward app to use. So if you're just getting into hiking, you probably don't want to spend hours researching obscure trails or downloading GPX files or editing routes on your computer. So yeah, if that sounds like you, this app is likely the one for you. One of my favorite features of Alltrails is the 3D visualizations. Almost every route comes with it, and I absolutely adore it. Because I'm a very visual learner, so being able to see the elevation, terrain, and overall shape of the trail gives me a really solid sense of what I'm heading into before I even step outside. I'm pretty sure that most of Alltrails routes are based in the US. They do have a strong presence in Europe as well, it's just that the coverage isn't as extensive as apps like wikiloc, which I will talk about in a moment. As for the downsides, in my opinion, the biggest one is that the most useful features are sitting behind a paywall. Offline maps, 3D previews, and real-time conditions all require a subscription. But to be honest, that's gonna be the case for most navigation apps, unfortunately. You do get a 7-day free trial, and if you decide to stick with it, the Plus subscription costs $35.99 per year. There's also a Peak subscription, which comes at €79.99 per year, and with this version you can build your own routes and also identify plants and more. So I mean, I guess if you want to become some kind of forest wizard, you have to go for the Peak version. And also one final thing that is worth mentioning is that with Alltrails there is no voice guided navigation. So unlike some other hiking apps, you will need to follow the route visually on your phone. So yeah, to wrap it up, this is a perfect app if you just want to get outside and walk without spending hours of preparing. And this comes from someone that usually spends a lot of time on prep. Now, the next app I want to talk about is Komoot. And at first glance, this app looks very similar to Alltrails because they both focus on route discovery, navigation stats, and sharing your adventures. But once you actually use the app for a while, you start to feel that the priorities feel quite different. One of Komoot's biggest strengths, for example, is the turn-by-turn voice-guided navigation. This is something that Alltrails doesn't really offer, and it can make a huge difference for activities like cycling or longer routes where constantly checking your phone can get quite annoying. Another important difference is the regional focus. So while Alltrails has a very strong coverage in the US, Komoot's trail database is much more Europe-centric. So if you hike or bike mainly in Europe, chances are that you'll find more relevant routes on this app. So like most outdoor navigation apps, the offline maps are locked behind a paywall, and this is where Komoot becomes quite interesting, because instead of just offering a simple subscription plan, you also have the option to buy single offline maps for individual regions. And these are one-time purchases. Now, you also have the option to do a one-time purchase of the entire world map in one go. But yeah, if you're not interested in buying these single maps, there's also just the option to go for a subscription, which costs 59.99 per year. And it adds extra things like multi-day route planning, live tracking, weather forecasts, and sport-specific recommendations. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I think the regional map system is a pretty bad deal, especially if you travel a lot. Paying separate for regions makes sense if you never leave your local area, but once you start exploring beyond that, it can get quite messy and expensive fast. So personally, in my opinion, I would say the best value option is the one-time purchase of worldwide offline maps for 29.99, and this way you get solid navigation everywhere without being locked in some kind of subscription plan. And okay, yes, you miss out on some premium subscription features, but for most people these are not really gonna be essential anyway. Now let's take a look at the third app, which is outdooractive. Honestly, this one feels a bit different from alltrails and komoot right away, because where the previous apps feel very simple and straightforward to use, outdooractive feels a little bit more like a serious outdoor navigation tool. But yeah, outdooractive is very popular in Europe especially, and then especially in alpine regions. A lot of its content comes from official tourism boards, alpine clubs, and local authorities. So it's not just some random user uploads. The trails you find there, they feel very curated and in some cases more trustworthy, especially in mountainous terrain. In my opinion, one of outdooractive's biggest strengths is the map quality, because the app offers so many different detailed maps with lots of different terrain data. So if you care about understanding the landscape you're moving through, like, this app will give you way more information than apps like alltrails and komoot. Another big plus, in my opinion, is that outdooractive is very multidisciplinary. So it's not just for hiking, but also for cycling, mountaineering, ski touring, via ferrata, long distance trekking. And also you can plan routes manually, import GPX files, and navigate them with turn-by-turn guidance, including voice navigation if you are on the paid version. What I personally love most about this app is how much control it gives you on the map itself. You can toggle all kinds of different layers like points of interest, places to eat and drink, events. But my absolute favorite is the webcams, because being able to check live mountain webcams before heading out gives you a much clearer idea of the current weather and snow conditions than any weather forecast ever will. Outdooractive also really shines when it comes to winter activities. So the app has a surprisingly big collection of guides for things like snowshoeing, ski touring, and even ice climbing. So it's not just an app for summer hiking. It's an app you can actually use year-round in mountainous environments. So yes, if you're someone who just wants to get out there and tap on a trail and start walking, this app will probably feel a little bit overkill. But if you enjoy the planning and studying maps and generally understanding your route before you set foot outside, outdooractive can actually make a lot of sense. Now for the next app, which is wikiloc. This app is so massive that it's almost comical. With over 19 million members and more than 71 million outdoor routes, this is probably the best website and app out there when it comes to pure trail discovery. What really sets this app apart, in my opinion, is that it goes far beyond hiking. Like, if you visit the homepage, the sheer number of activity categories is honestly quite hilarious. Of course, you have got the usual things like hiking, mountain biking, trail running, and cycling. But then it just keeps going. Let's see what they have. They have alpine climbing, enduro motorcycle, Nordic walking, swimming, quads, backcountry ski, motorhome, horseback riding, motorboat, kayak canoe, canicross, alpine ski, snowshoe, barefoot trails. I don't know, guys. Stand-up pedal, bikepacking, via ferrata, plane. So guys, if you just happen to have a plane in your garage, this is definitely the app for you. Like, literally, it just keeps going, guys. Like, I'm not gonna continue anymore, but yeah, at this point, the biggest pro of this app, it kind of speaks for itself, I guess. It's just the sheer amount of routes. Like, this is basically the library of Alexandria of outdoor trails. So yeah, I'm gonna be honest, guys, if you can't find a decent trail on this app, you might want to consider switching hobbies. The subscription is only like 19.99 €, which sounds like a very good deal to me, considering, again, the sheer amount of trails you get with it. That being said, there are some downsides to the app. The first one is battery usage. So on longer hikes, I noticed this app can be surprisingly battery intensive, which can be quite a big deal on multiple day adventures. Another con is the quality control, because you have so many trails and most of it is actually user uploaded. So some routes have very limited description, outdated information, or just incomplete waypoints, especially when you compare them to more curated platforms like alltrails. So here's how I personally use it. In my opinion, this app is perfect for discovering trails, but not the absolute best in terms of offline navigation. I mean, yes, it does the job in terms of navigation, but it just feels kind of messy and clunky. So for this reason, I use wikiloc for finding trails and downloading them to my computer and phone. And then I use another app, which I use for the navigation itself. And this app I will be talking about next, which is Gaia GPS. So Gaia is thought of as pretty much the best backcountry outdoor navigation app you can have, especially for serious hikers and backpackers and off-grid expeditions. First of all, Gaia GPS offers a huge variety of map layers, including things like topo, satellite, weather data, and terrain details. So this makes it such a powerful tool for analyzing terrain before and during the hike. But it's important to remember that Gaia GPS is first and foremost a mapping and navigation app. So it wasn't really intended to be a library of curated hikes. And I'm gonna be honest, the first time I opened this app, I couldn't help but feel generally very confused. I feel like with Gaia GPS you can really do a lot of stuff, but this also means that it has quite a big learning curve. And thus it could feel quite overwhelming, especially for casual users who just want some simple turn-by-turn navigation. There's also pretty much no community. I mean, yeah, officially they have a forum, but as you can see, it's pretty much as dead as a 2015 Tumblr page. But yeah, here's what Gaia GPS really shines at, in my opinion, compared to other apps. The backcountry navigation. If you're going off the beaten path in remote mountains or wilderness areas, Gaia is much more reliable than, for example, alltrails or komoot. And then you have the custom route creation. So for serious planning, you can draw your own routes with complete control over the waypoints and terrain. And also, I think it's very important to mention, Gaia GPS has global coverage, unlike apps with more region-focused trail databases like komoot. So Gaia lets you map and navigate virtually anywhere in the world. All in all, Gaia GPS is the kind of app that is just perfect for backcountry treks. I've used it, for example, on my canoe trip in Norway, and its navigation and maps are, in my opinion, the cleanest of all the apps I have talked about so far. So now, to sum it up, which app should you use? Well, it all kind of depends on what kind of hiker you are. But let's start with alltrails. In my opinion, alltrails is the app for the kind of person that just wants to get outside without too much preparation. You want simple, reliable trails, user reviews and 3D previews without spending hours of planning. And then to the next app, komoot. Like I said, a lot of it is similar to alltrails, but it's better suited for people that are based in Europe, and especially if you do things like cycling and long distance adventures, and when you want things like voice guided navigation. And then you have outdooractive, which is more for the serious adventurer. You study maps, you check webcams, you plan the weather, and you love discovering points of interest along the way. And then you have wikiloc, which is just for the adventure junkie in my opinion, who wants to explore everything. You're not even picky, you know, if it's a trail, a bike route, or even barefoot walking, you will find it here. And then finally Gaia GPS, and this one is definitely more for the off-grid explorer who thrives in the backcountry. You want precise maps, custom routes, and don't mind a learning curve to go to places that few people have been before. But yeah, alright guys, this is gonna be it in terms of navigation apps today. But I'm really curious, drop a comment and let me know which app you use on your adventures. And maybe there are some hidden gems that I haven't covered yet. But yeah, with that being said, thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video. Stay wild. Bye bye.